Hey, how's it going, everybody? I didn't know, I didn't run out of subjects to talk about. Um, so, for those that follow me religiously, I really appreciate it. Um, and those that are new to the channel, thanks for watching. And and everyone in between, thanks for watching. The channel's slowly growing. I appreciate that. Um, so, I'm not gonna go through all the semantics because everyone knows to subscribe and hit the bell and everything. So I want to go all that. You probably wonder why I don't have any intros or music going. Sometimes, even though a lot of us like to do a lot of the same things, like have our own studio and everything else, but some things when everyone's doing it, just like everyone's doing that, I like to be a little different sometimes because I don't always want to do what everybody does, even though that can be kind of hard. So, with that being said, first of all, if you play an instrument and you subscribe to my channel, you play an instrument, I would be very interested in some of my subscribers. And what instrument do you play? Uh, kind of write that down in the comments. Uh, so that way I can. It gives me more to talk about other than just studio gear, like of course I play bass and guitar and all that, so it gives me more subject to talk about as far as like maybe instruments. So um, now, with that being said, on I want to make this video, and I really didn't want to make it very long. I noticed within the last few years that I became so focused in chasing gear, right? Gear, which was always my dream of mine, to get my studio as far as the gear to where it's at. Now, naturally owning Neves and APIs and and really and excuse me, I've been tired lately. I need to take my butt to bed. Lately, I mean, yes, naturally, because of all this type of gear I've seen in all the top studios, naturally owning an SSL or an API or a Neve and so forth, and having Universal 1176s and LA2As and distressors and drummers and Summit Audio and Tube Tech and of course all the we know the go-to pieces, having ATC monitors, and that is of course that thing. If anyone want to have a commercial studio set up, though that gear would be the idea. Plus having the ideal control room, live room, the building, having a reception area, bathrooms, a lounge area, kitchen area, the common recording studio stuff. Even though technically, I kind of technically do have that. Let me see, because it's in my house. I do have a kitchen, so that answers the kitchen area. I do have a living room and a little dining seating area, so that covers that area. The living room is also a place where you can lounge and relax. And because I have bedrooms, naturally where I sleep, that covers that part, right? Reception, of course, just coming through the front door. It's just no person there to greet you. So the home is a cozy place, but the downside to the home room is space. The downside to a home is having the space and having it do all the work and construction to build it, to make it look like a commercial building recording studio. So, I wanted to sum up the video because this is not going to be very long. I think my main problem is I've gotten so focused, so far away from focus, that I was buying gear, including instruments, I was buying so much gear to build my studio that I've kind of lost my creative side. Back in the day when I had my Sonic SQ1 Plus keyboard over there and a tape recorder, I was sitting there. It was just more ideas. I would have an idea and I would sequence it. And I think, yeah, I got a tape. Yeah. So I would sequence, just come up with ideas and sequence, and then after that I recorded the tape. I don't know which tape is this. This stuff is back from. This is like 19. Oh wow, this is like 1991. I don't know if it'll. Let me see. There we go. Would it play? That's funny to play that because that was all sequence on my SQ1 going to a tape. It's the exact same tape I recorded it to. And that was it. I would probably put a little chorus or reverb effect through the keyboard. But I would have all these song ideas on tape and I would put it down. Of course, there was no vocals because couldn't record vocals. Didn't have audio interface. Audio or DAWs were not like they are now. Because this is 1991, but so with that being said, the whole point that I was trying to make in this video, that I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna be very long, was that I've gotten so sidetracked with wanting to have all these preamps, compressors, and I still want a lot of that because my goal was to have my own. I want to have a recording studio that reminded you of a recording studio that you saw in all the magazines, all the top commercial studios. I was trying to go for that exact same thing, and I'll tell you why. And the only reason why I was doing that is because it's what I've always known. For what a recording studio was and should be. I used to be a little biased, and I used to be kind of anti. If I saw someone who had a recording, where they call it a recording studio, and it really is technically a recording studio. If you had, like, let's say you had a little computer studio desk, and you had a few outboard gear on each side or whatever. You had a monitor in front of you, maybe a keyboard, maybe a few pieces of gear on the desk in front of you. You would have your speakers, and that was it. To me, I used to think that's not really a recording studio, and I got the audacity to have that mindset when really actually it is, because really technically a recording studio is just a place where you can record your ideas. There is no law and design law that says you have to have the console behind the glass in a control room with the racks of gear for it to be considered a recording studio. But I was always a little biased. I think a lot of us old school heads are kind of biased, especially if we worked in those environments. I've worked in those environments where you go into a building and there was a mixing console and the whole traditional setup, racks of gear. And it's the reason why I started building my stuff the same way. And so, to sum up the video, to end the video on this note, so because of that, I had not been really in a creative mood to really focus on the most important thing out of all of it, and that's just putting out great music, good music. creating song ideas, just getting lost in the creativity of creating music. And the one thing I can respect of people like, of course he's passed away now, is people like Prince. When you saw Prince or artists like that, the one thing that you never heard Prince brag about, I've never heard him brag about it, and I try to watch a lot of video of Prince, and Prince wasn't very big on doing interviews or being in the spotlight a whole lot. The only time he was in the spotlight is when he was performing. Other than that, he stayed away from everything else, other than him performing. The one thing that I never really realized, and it's really hard to really see without knowing this. Some people knew this, but most of us didn't. Maybe we, like I said, if the people writing comments to me, yeah, I kind of knew that. Then yeah, you knew, but a lot of us didn't know this. But when I hear Prince never talked about the mixing console that he owned, or the outboard gear that he owned, or microphones, or studio monitors, or how his control room was designed, or his live room. And then when I saw pictures of his home recording studio, which was pretty much a commercial studio, a lot of artists used to go to Paisley Park and record, which I never realized. I couldn't believe that they were going to Prince's home to record. Just never paid no attention to that. When I thought of Minneapolis, the only thing that I really thought of Minneapolis was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. But other than that, I just never, because you didn't see Prince. I never saw Prince's studio in Mix Magazine or whatever. But Prince had, I'm talking about top end gear. But the thing that I knew about Prince that you always knew about Prince was always a performer and creating music. So, and that's what I got to get myself out of getting caught up into this and get back into creating music. And sometimes that's hard when you're by yourself. I'm always playing on my keyboards, trying to dabble with, with ideas and all that, but sometimes I find myself playing the boards and I just turn them off and I go watch TV, get on my phone, play some games. And it's so hard I don't have the same drive and sparkle like I did 25, 30 years ago. And I'm trying to get out of that. But it's so hard because the music industry has also changed. My ideal of what a recording studio should be and the kind of music that was being made in the 80s and 90s and 70s was my idea of building a recording studio around that type of environment music, and I have to realize music is, it's what it is today. And I think that's one of my downsides. I can't let go of stop listening to like SOS Band. I just love that sound. I love the sound of Earth, Wind and Fire and Stevie Wonder and Confunction and Cameo and all those groups. I love the music. I love listening to Angela Winbush or Renee and Angela and all these 80s, the Gap Band, and I just love that. And I love the process of being in a recording studio, But anyhow, so that's going to sum up the video for the day, for this one. I love to hear people's opinion on it, and tell me what you think. Other than that, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great one.